Welcome to the Solo Success Lab, your microdose of field-tested strategies that actually work in solo practice. Here's this week's lab note. Too much on your plate? Try this simple trick. I stared at the blank Word document for what felt like an eternity. I was trying to create an intake SOP that had been on my to-do list for, well, let's just say longer than I care to admit. The cursor blinked back at me mockingly. My brain kept screaming, "This is going to take forever. Where do I even start?" So instead, I checked my email, then LinkedIn, then my calendar, then suddenly it was 2 p.m. and I had accomplished exactly nothing. Sound familiar? When I finally forced myself to confront my procrastination, I remembered something I'd heard from psychologist Dr. Becky Kennedy that's deceptively simple but incredibly powerful. When a task feels too big, make it smaller. Dr. Becky's advice is brilliantly straightforward. If writing a page feels too big, focus on a paragraph. If writing a paragraph feels too big, focus on a sentence. If a sentence feels too big, focus on a word. The key isn't about getting everything done at once. It's about creating momentum. Once you start, continuing becomes infinitely easier. So I stopped thinking about writing the entire SOP and instead typed a single heading. Step 1. Initial client contact. That's it. Just 5 words. If I'd needed to, I could have stopped there and come back to it the next day. I wasn't putting any more overwhelming pressure on myself. I just had to write 1 line today. But you know what happened? The words that followed came almost automatically. 20 minutes later, I had the first section completely drafted. This approach is particularly powerful for solo attorneys because we're constantly juggling multiple roles with nobody to delegate to. For example, drafting legal documents. Instead of thinking, I need to draft this entire pleading, start with the section headings first. If that feels like too much, just write the title and your client's name. The smallest victory creates momentum. Building standard operating procedures. Rather than trying to document your entire client journey, start with the first thing you do when a potential client reaches out. 1. Receive an email inquiry. That's it. Now, what happens next? Or creating legal products. When I started building my DIY divorce guide, I felt paralyzed by the scope. So I began with just listing the 5 questions clients ask most frequently. That simple list became the foundation for a product that now generates passive income for my business. Our brains are wired to resist large, ambiguous tasks. It's not laziness, it's just how we're built. So when you shrink the task, 3 things happen. 1, you bypass your brain's threat response. A tiny task doesn't trigger the same alarm bells as a massive project. 2, you experience immediate success. That little dopamine hit when you complete even a tiny step fuels motivation for the next one. And 3, you eliminate the decision fatigue. Instead of weighing where to start among countless options, you've narrowed down your focus to something manageable. So what's the one task you've been avoiding in your practice? A brief you need to write, a difficult client conversation, a marketing plan? Take that task and shrink it until it feels laughably small. So small you would feel ridiculous not doing it. For that brief, just open the document and write the caption. For the client conversation, draft the first sentence you'll say. For the marketing plan, list 3 places your ideal clients might hang out online. Do the tiny thing immediately. Right now. Press pause before you finish this episode. Great, done? Congrats! You've just tricked your brain into starting. And starting is always the hardest part. This simple strategy has helped me draft complex motions, build marketing campaigns, and even write this episode when I was feeling stuck. So next time you're up against that big task you've been avoiding, think about how you're going to shrink it into something so small you can't help but get started. Here's to taking the smallest possible step forward. That's your lab note for the week. Get extra strategies not shared in episodes by subscribing at adifferentpractice.com/subscribe.